ADEQ. I'll hand it over to you, Kyle.
Thanks, Jacob. Hi, everyone. My name is Kyle Updergrove. I am the Groundwater General Permits Unit Manager here at the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. Currently been employed with ADEQ for about 5 years. Jacob, do I have permission to share?
Absolutely, you should.
Okay. Let me take over the screen real quick. Okay. Let's put it in here. There we go. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Can everyone hear me okay?
We can see your screen. It looks like it's like encased in like a browser window, though.
Yeah, that's strange. Let me pull it out then. Give me 1 second. I just got to pull it up from PowerPoint.
No worries.
There we go. Okay. Is that better now?
Looks great.
All right. So like I said, my name is Kyle Updergrove. I'm the Groundwater General Permit Unit Manager here at ADEQ. So today we're going to be talking about the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality's pool authority, where it starts, where it stops, and a little bit of the history. So obviously ADEQ was established in the 80s, in 1987, after the breakup from DHS. If so, discussion topics, we're going to be going over where we get our legal authority from, some definitions, exemptions, prohibitions, what triggers an application, the need for it, permit requirements, and then you guys can ask me a couple questions. So ADEQ's pool authority comes from obviously the Arizona Revised Statutes and Arizona Administrative Code. These are listed here for you guys to read. I'm not going to read them for you. But basically what it states is we have to regulate semi-public and public pools for design approval to make sure they're engineered to be safe and sanitary and they can create a sanitary environment for the public to use. And obviously our enforcement authority to do inspections, and we can sub-delegate these out to counties similar to DHS does with their delegations. So a little bit of comparison. So obviously DHS rules and ADEQ's rules are a lot different. ADEQ regulates normally environmental concerns. We want to make sure things are constructed to provide environmental safety protocols, that the public health at the utmost and the environment is protected, as well as aquifer damages and surface water damages and high levels of stormwater impacts, such as if you're not supposed to discharge or drain your pool into a saltwater drain or into a storm drain because of the high salinities in there. It can affect stormwater down the line. So it's a little bit different, but there is a break point between the two. So ADEQ's pool authority is only for public and semi-public pools and spas. It doesn't have any authority for residential. Residential is all local municipalities, and that's what the definitions I'll explain later. But if it meets those definitions for semi-public or public, that's when ADEQ or our delegated authorities have to handle the review of construction of said pool. So a public pool public pool, such as the big pools here in Maricopa County or in Pima County that that you've seen, the big city municipality pools or even the water parks. Those are public pools. They can operate with or without a fee. Normally, it's their primary business is to operate the swimming pool. Now, a semi-public pool. Now, these can be gyms, apartments, townhomes, trailer parks, RV resorts, things like that. So that's where the break point is, and that's where a lot of the confusion happens. Is people are like, but the public can go into them. They have to pay. They're not. They just can't walk in and use it at their own free will. Sometimes they have to establish. It's a lot more limited on the usage. Now, there are a few exemptions in swimming pools, such as what on the picture provided. If you're using it for medical treatment or physical therapy and are supervised by a licensed medical personnel, it's completely exempt from our permitting program. We don't have any. We don't have any permitting procedures for that. If it's a natural bathing place, that's a little bit of a gray area. In our rules, a natural bathing place is lakes. Saguaro Lake, Apache Lake, Canyon Lake, even Bartlett Lake, or they're naturalized, even though they're man-made by a dam. They are naturally occurring from rivers. And then a semi-artificial bathing place that could be such as like a spa, like down the street, that has those big high salinity baths. Where you just sit there, that's exempt. And then artificial lakes, so like the lakes inside your HOA neighborhoods, those are exempted also. Now, there's a few prohibitions that we have. So a fill and draw. So if you have a pool that you drain and fill every day, like a small like hot tub that's prefabricated from the manufacturer, and you just fill it and draw it for like cold plunge therapy, or a private residential spa. Cannot be used for a public or semi-public pool. So those hot tubs that you see, at the Costco or Harbor Freight or wherever, the big box stores, those are completely exempted from usage because of the lack of chlorination and sanitation in those residential spas. They're not made to be constructed for the public health. Now, what triggers the need for a permit? Basically, if you're going to construct a new public or semi-public pool or spa, you got to come talk to us and get an application. It's located on our website. Or a major modification, or if you're changing from a semi-public or a residential pool to a public pool or semi-public pool. Now, if you already have an application and you're changing any shape, depth, water circulation, disinfection, sanitation, etc., or diving equipment, you got to come talk to us again because you got to amend your current permit. Now, these permits are for life. They don't ever expire. Once you get it, you don't have to talk to us again unless you trigger the needs right here, which I'm showing you. Now, once you figure out that you needed a permit, there's some prior things you got to do. You got to apply for the permit for us, ensure all the design plans and questions from ADEQ are answered, and then once we approve and review your approval, we will issue you an approval to construct permit. So you can have approval to construct. You can't operate it yet, or discharge, or keep flows. That happens after the fact, after it's all been constructed, and you have 2 years from the date of issuance after we issue you the approval, or it's called an ATC, approval to construct permit, to construct that said pool. And then after that, you come back to us after it's been constructed, and an engineer signs the engineering certificate, or a registered sanitarian or a registered certified contractor from ROC, signs that it's been built to spec. We go out and look at it. If we feel it's worthy enough, sometimes most of the time we don't, because a lot of these are located really, really far away. The counties who we don't do, because currently right now, ADEQ's pool program is delegated to majority of the big counties: Maricopa, Pima, Yuma, Yavapai County, and so the pool programs permits that we review currently are really far away from majority where our staff live. So it's just not worth it for us when we are already getting it signed off from the engineer. And then after that, after you get that signed certificate, we issue you an AOC, an approval of construction, and you're clear as day, and you never have to talk to us until you hit one of those triggers. So our authority stops as soon as you get that AOC or the approval of construction. After that, unless you meet one of the triggers or we get a complaint, you won't see or hear from us again. Do we have any questions? And this is my contact email. It's right there, updergrove.kyle@adeq.gov. You can send me an email. I will respond within a day. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. I'll be happy to answer.
It doesn't look like we have. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
It doesn't look like we have any in the Q&A yet. But I guess we could ask, what is a hurdle that you guys are having to overcome right now?
Cold plunges. If you want me to be, yeah, if you want me to be straightforward to the point, cold plunge pools. So, obviously, our rules were established in the 90s. They're very, very old. They're 30 plus years old coming up. And I mean, when the rules were written, they weren't forethought for cold plunge usage, therapy, etc. I mean, it's a bit of a gray area, and we're trying to figure out, obviously, with both agencies, DHS included, on how to figure this out. We had a pretty long-term meeting. Oh, this is cool, by the way. I can see the questions. No, hopefully that answers your question, Rebecca. Do we charge an annual fee for your permit? No, not yet. We did request an executive budget request from the governor's office to establish a fee, because if you've ever reviewed a pool construction for one of these large pools, it's a lot of engineering, actually. Sanitation, circulation, a depth, make sure it meets all of our criteria, and it takes quite a substantive amount of time. On average, 40 to 60 hours of review time for one engineer to review one application. And on average, my team averages around 50 to 60 of these per year. So, and we don't get paid for it. So that's a lot of time that we have to waste for my engineering team, because they also have to do on-sites also. So we are looking into establishing a fee for that, most likely hourly. When do you foresees for the rules opening up? So we do have the five-year rule review, which we just had 2 years ago for pools. But we are going to obviously establish that request for that new fee schedule for the pools, not this year, but next fiscal year. So that would be in 2028 is when it would start. Hopefully that answers that question. What is the time frame for working with DHS to update the current state pool code? There is no time frame. The hope is that we can work together to establish a new updated pool regulations, because we do understand that they are very old, archaic, and need to be updated completely. But as you know, rulemaking isn't easy for any agency, especially when it creates such a when it affects such a large amount of people. Everyone likes pools, right, in Arizona, because it's so hot here. So there's a lot of things that we have to do. We are slowly thinking of ways to limit and open it up for technical working groups. On the next question, do float pods of sensory deprivation tanks that utilize salt water require permits? I don't think so. What you're talking about? Are you talking about those spa baths that like you can go and float in a pod with like super high salinity and it like relaxes your body? If you're talking about that, no, they don't require a permit. What is the process for smaller counties if structural concerns are observed during routine inspections? Non-compliant barriers, for example. You can always file a complaint with ADEQ or with that specific county. If you give me more of an example, and obviously the business, if it's a business like such as an RV resort, etc. Splash pads are not sorry, I missed that question. I just saw it pop up. But hopefully that answers that question.
And
And you can send me that as an email.
yeah, I'll go ahead and send these. I'll put them in chat if you want to answer them there, but we're going to go ahead and have Frank take over. Well, Jake take over. But thank you so much for your time. It was awesome.
Thank you.